Summer in the Western Hemisphere is 3 short months away, so that means we're quickly approaching, in my opinion, the best time of the year. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, that I love more than summer. The sun is out, the birds are chirping, it's always warm, people are outside walking, enjoying nature. It's truly amazing. In summertime, the rules of life go out the window. It's a free-for-all. Do whatever you want because it's summertime. You go to a bar on a random Tuesday, you hook up with a random stranger after a couple shots, and then the next day when you wake up, it burns when you pee. Oh, you have chlamydia? So what? It's summertime, embrace it. Chlamydia in the fall, in the spring, or in the winter is kind of embarrassing and gross, but in the summertime, you say, yeah, I have chlamydia and I'm proud of it. You wear it like a badge of honor, because again, it's summertime. I'm still gonna go have my acai bowl and surf, even with chlamydia, because nothing can stop me. That's what makes summertime so great. And for football fans specifically, summertime is great because we get to speculate about potential signings our club can make. And that is, of course, as you can tell by the title, what we're going to do in today's video. We're going to talk about potential signings that Barca can make. This should be really, really fun. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Obviously, you guys see the tiers. You guys see the players. Everything is pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to explain it. And if I have to explain it to you, that means you probably won't get to enjoy summer because you might need summer school if you can understand this tier list, okay? So let's get to the video right now because I cannot wait. First up, we have Bayer Leverkusen and Germany's center back Jonathan Tah, who I'm like 95% sure is going to be the first signing that Barca make in the summer of 25. Hansi Flick has been very vocal about wanting this guy. The links have been everywhere. It looks like Jonathan Tah wants to join Barca as well. And I'm pretty sure Deco and the players' camp have been in contact over a possible contract negotiation for the summertime. So it's more likely than not that Jonathan Tah will be wearing a Barca kit at the start of next season. But with all that being said, you know, he's probably going to come, and I'll be happy if he does. But to me, he's going to go, and not my first choice, but whatever. I think Jonathan Tah is an average center back. Honestly, I think he is. I don't think he's a great center back. I think he had a good season for Leverkusen last year, where the whole team kind of overperformed. But this season, he's been good, but not great. And for Germany, when he plays at a back four, he's not that great of a player, man. He plays at a back three for Leverkusen, that obviously suits him. But in the back four, which is what Barca plays, I don't think he suits Barca's style, man. And obviously, we're thinking about bringing in Jonathan Tah because it's more likely than not that Barca are going to sell Christensen in the summer because Christensen, while I think he's a great player and has been a great servant to the club since he got there, he's been injured the whole year. Christensen got hurt against Valencia, bro. Against Valencia at the Mestalla in the first game of the season. He must have suffered the worst injury of all time because no one's seen him since. He's been rehabbing and all this stuff, but he just keeps getting hurt again. So again, the only reason we're talking about Jonathan Tah is because Christensen has not been available. So if we trade Christensen for Tah, to me, it's kind of about the same. I think they're both the same quality of player. I think Christensen is actually a little bit better and suits Barca's style more. But again, it's almost the same. You know, neither of them are going to change life for Barca. But for me, what would piss me off is if Barca sell Araujo to bring in Jonathan Tah. Now, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen, but if it did, I'd be pissed. We cannot be selling Araujo to bring in Jonathan Tah. That would be, to me, the stupidest thing ever. Araujo is the better and younger player and is also a guy who has roots in Barca and who's a team captain. He's beloved by the fans as well. So if Barca sell Araujo and bring in Tah, I'd be pissed. But again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to come in for Christensen once he leaves. And if he comes in for Christensen, man, it's a pretty good center back rotation. You have Tah, you have Araujo, you have Inigo, you have Cubarsi, you have Koundé, and you have Eric Garcia. Now, Koundé, of course, plays right back, but we know Koundé, before he ever played right back for Barca, was the best center back in La Liga for Sevilla. So again, for me, Tah, if I had an unlimited budget for Barca, he wouldn't be one of my 10 center backs that I sign. He wouldn't be one of them, okay? Because I think he's an average player. I think people overrate him too much. I've watched Jonathan Tah play, and trust me, I have. I'm not that impressed by him. I think Christensen is honestly the better player. If Christensen was more available, I'd say keep Christensen and don't bring Tah. But again, Hansi Flick wants him, and I trust Hansi Flick. Hansi Flick is good at evaluating talent, and he knows like Hansi Flick. We know everything he touches turns to gold, and I trust his judgment. But again, for me, he's not my first choice. I just think Tah is kind of just an average player. And if he comes to Barca, he can probably get some starts in the Copa del Rey games or these if somebody's hurt, he can obviously do a job like Christensen did for years. But again, I think Christensen is a more versatile and better player. I think he just suits the Barca style more. But if Barca are going to get rid of him, it's whatever to bring in Tah. That's literally the way I feel about it. If you told me Barca, like when you told me Barca bringing in Jonathan Tah, I'm like, whatever. I don't really care. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a good addition. I don't think it's a bad addition. I just think it's whatever. Hence why I'm putting him in that tier. But again, maybe you guys disagree. Let me know in the comment section down below. Next up, we have Benjamin Sesko, obviously for RB Leipzig. And he, to me, is going to go into good addition. Now, that might be crazy because Benjamin Sesko is one of the best young strikers in Europe right now. But when I look at the dream tier, here's the way I think about it, right? So you guys can kind of understand my thinking. The dream for me is if you gave Barca an unlimited budget, who would I sign? Like, if I was Deco and they gave me $1 billion to spend in the summer, who would I sign? And Benjamin Sesko, if I had £1 billion, he would not be the striker that I signed. Now, if Barca sign him, because I'm pretty sure his release clause is under 60 million, which is kind of a bargain for a player this good, I would be stoked. I'd be really, really happy because Barca need a striker. People are talking about center back and right back and all this stuff, and Barca need those positions too. But strikers should be a priority this summer. Lewandowski's washed. I understand he scored that goal against Atletico Madrid, obviously before the international break, but Robert Lewandowski's quite frankly washed. I'm sorry, he just is. And we need another striker. And this guy, bro, he's not having the best goal scoring year this year, but he's still a goal scoring machine. His dribbling for his size is honestly ridiculous. Go watch Benjamin Sesko. This guy is huge. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5". But his dribbling, he looks like a 5'7" player when he dribbles. His dexterity and his like fucking like the way he contorts his body, he's really good on, like, he's amazing with the ball at his feet. Honestly, for a guy of that size, he's amazing with the ball at his feet, and his finishing is ridiculous. I saw that goal that he scored against Juventus in the UCL. I was in awe of this guy. He's honestly a fucking amazing player. Okay, so if Barca bring him in, I'm not gonna sit here and complain. But again, the dream for me is like these guys who, if I had all the money, if Barca had all the money, who would I sign? And Benjamin Sesko is not one of them. Now, he's a great player, like I said, but I just think he would be a good addition. He'd be a really, really good addition. I think if he comes to Barca, if he comes, we're not sure if he's going to come. He might go to Arsenal. There's a lot of clubs that are linked with him because he's a really, really good player. But if he comes to Barca, he'd be our first choice striker from the start. I think he's a better player than Lewandowski right now. I understand that Lewandowski has more goals. Lewo plays for a better team. If this guy had Lamine Yamal and Rafinha feeding him passes, he'd be the top goal scorer in Europe. I promise you he would be because he's that good. But again, he's not the dream signing for me. I think he's a great player, but there's other players that I would rather have, honestly. Next up, we have Romania's own Andrei Ratiu, who obviously plays for Rayo Vallecano, and he, to me, is going to go into good addition. Ratiu is so good, man. One of the most underrated right backs in the world. People who don't watch La Liga don't understand how good this guy is. So consistently good. He's good defensively, good going forward. He's honestly a guy who, at worst, every single game drops a 7 out of 10. He's super consistent, man, and we need a right back. Barca need a right back. This would be a great addition for the team. Again, the dream is saved for like the best of the best, okay? The dream is like the best of the best. But a good addition is Ratiu. He would be a great addition, man. He's a definition of a good addition. He's a definition of a good addition. Koundé plays too much, man. Koundé is the best right back in the world, in my opinion, currently, but he plays too much because we don't have a backup for him. Hector Fort, we thought he was ready. He's not quite ready yet to be a guy who comes off the bench consistently for the Barca first team. I think he will be at some point, but from what we've seen from him this season, he's had good games and bad games. So I think Ratiu is a more consistent and better option off the bench if he comes to Barca than Hector Fort. And I think he would be a really, really good addition to the squad. This is a guy who, if you haven't gotten a chance to watch him play, watch him play. I know all my La Liga watchers like myself, we know who this guy is and we know how good he is. And there's a reason why Barca are linked to him. And if Barca pull this off, it would be a huge signing, man. Because again, we need right back depth and we need to give Koundé some rest because Koundé plays too many minutes. I think he's played the most minutes on this Barca team this year. He barely gets any rest because again, we can't afford to give him rest. We can't afford to play Gerard Martin there, we can't afford to play Araujo there. You know what I mean? So I think that Ratiu would be a massive addition to the squad. I think he'd be a really, really good player, and I'd be super happy to bring him in. If this guy comes, I'd be stoked. Honestly, I would be. Next up, we have Liverpool's Luis Diaz, who to me is going to be the first player that goes into no. I'm not a huge fan of Luis Diaz. I think he's a good player, but not a great player. And I think he's extremely inconsistent. He's good at dribbling sometimes. He's good at, at pace. In the counterattack, he's deadly. But this guy can't take on his men for shit, and his end product is non-existent. He has no end product whatsoever. And his decision-making at times and his IQ is extremely poor, man. It's honestly so poor. He's such a frustrating player to watch. And I can just imagine watching him play at Barca, how mad it would be. Because I get mad watching him play now, and he plays for a club I don't even support. Okay? He plays for a club I don't even support. And Luis Diaz is extremely up and down. And, if he plays 12 games, 3 games he'll be good, and then the remaining 9 games he'll be utter shit. Like you'll watch him play and you'll be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Honestly, because his bad games are bad. Like bad. So for me, again, I'm not sitting here saying that Luis Diaz has no quality because to be a Liverpool starter for the amount of time that he's been, you have to have some level of quality about you. Obviously he has that, but I don't think he's a guy who he's not my first choice, and he wouldn't be a good addition. He's obviously not the dream. He's not the dream. I don't know why Deco's so obsessed with this guy because we've been hearing links about Luis Diaz and Barca for the past couple of years. But to me, he's going to go into no. Again, I think if Barca are going to sign a left winger, Luis Diaz is going to cost a lot of money, man. He's not going to be cheap. If you're going to sign a left winger, you might as well go and get the best of the best, pay a little bit extra, and get a better player, a younger player. I don't see why we would spend that money on Luis Diaz. To me, it would be irresponsible. I wouldn't be a fan of it at all. I think if Deco does this and if Barca do this, it would be a terrible decision for the club. Honestly, I think it could set the club back for years. I honestly believe that. You might think I'm being hyperbolic, but Luis Diaz is not a guy who you can rely on week in and week out. He's just not that guy. So for me, again, sorry to all my Colombia Liverpool fans. I love him because he seems like a great guy. But Luis Diaz to me is simply going to go into no. Next up, we have Alexander Isak, and he is going to go in the dream. This would be if Barca signed Alexander Isak, who's reportedly Newcastle's reportedly asking for 170 million for somebody to buy Isak. They're asking for that much money, which is not going to happen. Barca cannot afford that. I don't think many clubs can afford that. And even if they could, I don't think they're going to pay that for Isak. But anyway, if I had an unlimited budget for Barca, I would pay that money for Isak because I think he's that good. Now, do I think he's the best striker in the world? No. I think Haaland is better. And if you count Mbappe, I think Mbappe is better too. I don't know if Mbappe is a left winger or a striker, but again, Haaland and Mbappe to me are better. But he's right under them, man. He's one of the best strikers in the world. This would be one of the biggest signings in Barca history. If this guy came to Barca, he would break every record, man. He would break every record. He is insane, man. He's so good. He's such a complete player. He is the striker that we need. He's the striker that we need. La Masia doesn't produce strikers, man. We need to go out and buy one. And Lewandowski, like I've already mentioned with Sesko, is washed. And Isak would be... Can you imagine, bro? Like, this could be Mbappe and Isak. It could be the Messi and Ronaldo. That's how good this guy is, bro. Trust me. Did you guys watch him in the EFL Cup final? Scoring that goal? And then he's pointing like he has so much swagger too, bro. The aura, man. Can you believe the aura? Okay, I sound like such a fucking idiot. Oh my god, I hate myself so much talking about aura. You guys don't even give a fuck about any of that. Or maybe you do, I don't know. But anyway, my point is, I was obviously joking there, but my point is Isak has, he's got that swagger about him too. I think he belongs, and no disrespect to Newcastle, who just won the EFL Cup, of course, but I think he belongs at a big club like a Barca or like a Madrid, or maybe like, if you want to call Arsenal a big club, he needs to go somewhere else, man, to get more recognition because people don't watch him enough because he plays at Newcastle. But if you watch Alexander Isak, you understand how good this guy is. He's honestly unplayable. He is unplayable. He's having an amazing season. He's a great finisher. He's great off the ball. He's great at linking up play. He's a super complete striker. And again, usually for a striker of that size, you don't get that. You don't get that. The strikers of his size are mostly target men. And this guy's far from that. He's such a complete player. Isak would be, like I said, one of the biggest signings in Barca history if they can pull it off. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but again, we're dreaming here. And if they can pull it off, I would honestly be in dreamland. If Isak comes to Barca, it would be the best thing ever. Oh my god, I would be so happy. Next up, we have Nico Williams. No. I'm sorry, man. It's done. It's done. I'm sorry, but no. I love Nico, man. I think he's such a good player. He's not having the best year right now, but I think he's such an amazing player. But that whole saga last year where he rejected Barca, it just left me a little bit bitter, man. Maybe I'm being petty here, but I don't know. I think Nico, again, to go through that whole saga again and to bring him in after he kind of already rejected Barca, it doesn't sit right with me, man. It doesn't sit right with me. Like that. What's that Johan Cruyff quote? If you have to think twice about joining Barca, then you can't. Like Johan Cruyff says some fucking shit. I don't know. That guy was a philosopher, but he said something about joining Barca. And if you have second thoughts, you don't belong at Barca. I kind of feel like that with Nico Williams, man. Like I said, I think he's still a really, really good player, but I think Barca can do better than him now. I think Barca can honestly do better than him, and I think Barca. We saw what happened when this guy was linked to Barca, what it did to Rafinha and how it sparked them up. I think that Nico Williams is a good player, but he's not a guy that I want to see at Barca in the future. Again, maybe I'm being petty, but I could do without him. Honestly, I could. Now, like I said, if Barca bring him in, he'd be a great player to add. He'd be a really, really good left wing option because Barca is still looking for more winger depth. But I'm not going crazy over signing Nico Williams anymore. That ship is sailed for me. Next up, we have Neymar. This is where I'm gonna let my bias and nostalgia get the better of me. And I'm sorry, man. I know you guys are gonna get pissed off at me, but I gotta do this. I'm gonna put him in. Should I put him in the dream? No. I'm going to put him in not my first choice, but whatever. I think Neymar would be honestly... Actually, no, I'm going to put him in good addition. I think Neymar would honestly be a good addition to Barca. I think he's better than Luis Diaz. And I love him more than Nico Williams. That's why I'm putting him in good addition. Again, not the analysis you guys are looking for probably, but I'm emotional, man. I'm emotional when it comes to my team. And Neymar has roots in Barcelona. Nico Williams and Luis Diaz have no roots in Barca. And Neymar, people say he's going to be a locker room cancer. I disagree. I think Neymar still has a lot left in the tank. And I think he's not an old man by any means. I mean, he's still... he's not young, but he's not super old. He's not Luka Modric age. I just think Neymar is still a really, really good player, and I would not be mad seeing him at Barca. Now, again, is he the same player that he was when he was at Barca winning the treble with MSN? No, but he's not super washed up. He's had injuries, but I think he's the guy who, if he comes to Barca with the right mindset, he can make an impact. And I honestly would not be opposed to seeing him play for Barca in the future, next season. And Ferran Torres still gets minutes for this team. You cannot tell me Neymar is not a better player than Ferran Torres. And him, Rafinha, Lamine, I think the vibes would be immaculate. Honestly, that would be immaculate vibes. I wouldn't be opposed to having Neymar at the club. Next up, we have Julian Alvarez. He would be the dream too. And honestly, Leao would be the dream too. Let's just finish it off right there. Julian Alvarez and Leao would both be the dream. Both of these guys are guys who, they're like if Barca signed these guys and at some point in the future, it would be like collecting an infinity stone, honestly, with these two guys. I think Julian Alvarez, as we've seen throughout the whole year, is such a great player. He's having such a great season for Atletico Madrid, and it's looking like a bargain, the money that they spent for him now. And now Julian Alvarez is not going to come to Barca because Atletico Madrid just signed him, and they're not going to sell him to a direct rival that quickly. So it's more likely than not that Julian Alvarez is not going to end up at Barca at any point in his career. But he's such a Barca-coded player. I would love to see him at the club. And also Rafael Leao, man. One of the best left wingers on the planet, one of the best players on the planet in my opinion, a guy who can just wreck a game. Now he could be a little bit inconsistent, but his highs are so much higher than basically any other left winger on the planet apart from Rafinha and some others, and obviously Vini and Mbappe, but those guys we know. But to me, he's so good, and he would be the perfect winger for Barca. He's such a great player, and I'd be really happy to have him at the club. These to me would be the dream. Isaac, Julian, and Rafael Leao. If Barca can sign those guys, I would be ecstatic, but again, it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, Ratiu, Sesko, Neymar, all these guys that have a possibility to, if Barca sign those guys, I think it'd be a good summer. It'd be guys who add depth and who fill positions of need. But again, the dreams, if I had an unlimited budget, I would sign Isaac, Julian Alvarez, and Leao. But yeah, man, that's my list. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Kind of let my love and my bias get the better of me there for a little bit with Nico and Neymar in that ranking. But again, you guys know I'm not the perfect person, but you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I love every single one of you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.